For 2 years, the world has watched artillery maps like weather reports, watched red lines move inch by inch across eastern Ukraine, watched sanctions stack like bricks in a wall no one can see through. But this morning, something shifted. Not on the battlefield, not in Kyiv, not in Moscow. It shifted in Washington. Donald Trump just sent a message ahead of the Geneva peace talks, and it wasn't subtle. Ukraine must reach a deal with Russia fast. Not eventually, not strategically, fast. And when a former U.S. president and current political force says fast before diplomats sit down in Geneva, markets listen, NATO listens, and Kyiv definitely listens. Because that one word changes leverage. It changes expectations. It changes who feels pressure when the doors close behind negotiators. Let's be clear about what is happening here. The Geneva peace talks were supposed to be a cautious, technical step. Ceasefire frameworks, humanitarian corridors, energy infrastructure protections before winter. But Trump's statement reframes the entire atmosphere. He isn't talking about incremental de-escalation. He's talking about urgency. He's signaling that the war cannot continue at its current burn rate. And when urgency enters diplomacy, someone feels cornered. The question is who? Is this pressure on Kyiv to concede territory? Is it a signal to Moscow that Washington's patience is thinning? Or is it a message to American voters that endless foreign entanglements are about to face a deadline? Because make no mistake, this isn't just about Ukraine and Russia. This is about the future architecture of Europe. It's about NATO credibility. It's about energy markets. And it's about the U.S. election cycle creeping into foreign policy. Behind closed doors, European officials are nervous. Publicly, they talk unity. Privately, they worry about timelines. A fast deal can mean stability, or it can mean compromise under duress. Kyiv's position has always been clear. Sovereignty first, territory non-negotiable, security guarantees ironclad. Moscow's position has been equally clear. Recognition of territorial realities, sanctions relief, and security buffers. Those two positions do not overlap easily. So when Trump says, make a deal quickly, he is effectively compressing a negotiation that was already fragile. And compression creates cracks. Financial markets reacted cautiously because peace, even imperfect peace, reduces geopolitical risk premiums. Oil traders are watching the Black Sea. Grain markets are watching Odessa. Defense contractors are watching congressional budgets. Investors love certainty. War is uncertainty. But rushed peace can be just as destabilizing if it collapses later. And that's the gamble. Trump's argument politically is simple. Prolonged war drains resources, drains focus, drains leverage. His critics argue the opposite. Speed without security rewards aggression. That debate is now hanging over Geneva like a storm cloud. Ukrainian officials are walking into those talks knowing that Western unity is their strongest asset. Russian officials are walking in knowing time has often favored their attrition strategy. And hovering above both delegations is the reality that Washington's tone is shifting from endurance to resolution. That changes bargaining psychology. If Kyiv believes support timelines are shrinking, its negotiating posture hardens publicly, but calculates privately. If Moscow believes the West wants this wrapped up quickly, it may test how much pressure exists behind the rhetoric. This is the dangerous zone of diplomacy. Perception becomes leverage. Let's talk scenarios because the next 72 hours matter. Scenario 1, accelerated framework. Geneva produces a preliminary ceasefire corridor agreement, prisoner exchanges expand, and negotiations move into structured territorial discussions. Markets rally, energy prices stabilize. Trump claims momentum for diplomacy. Scenario 2, visible fracture. Ukraine resists timeline pressure. Russia holds maximalist demands, talks stall, and headlines scream failure. In that case, Trump's call for speed becomes ammunition in domestic politics while the battlefield tempo continues. Scenario 3, conditional compromise. A temporary ceasefire emerges tied to security guarantees backed by European forces, not immediate NATO membership, but structured defense commitments. That would be messy, controversial, but potentially durable. The core tension is this: wars end either through exhaustion or through decisive shifts. Neither side has achieved decisive dominance. Exhaustion is uneven, so diplomacy becomes the battlefield. Trump's statement doesn't end the war, but it alters the diplomatic climate before Geneva even begins. It injects political urgency into a negotiation that required strategic patience. Whether that urgency produces peace or pressure depends on what happens when the doors close and cameras leave. One thing is certain: when global powers start talking about speed in a conflict this complex, every capital recalculates risk. Kyiv recalculates endurance. Moscow recalculates leverage. Europe recalculates security. And Washington recalculates politics. Geneva is no longer just a peace talk venue. It is now a deadline arena. The world is about to see whether fast diplomacy can outpace a slow war. Stay awake.